Have you ever felt like your mind is a browser with way too many tabs open? You're trying to work, but you're also worrying about a conversation from yesterday, stressing about your finances, and mentally replaying an awkward moment from a week ago. Your head feels noisy. It's a mess of positive thoughts, negative thoughts, sad thoughts, happy thoughts, and above all, just confusing thoughts. It's like this tangled knot of wires, and you can't find the beginning or the end. You might think to yourself, why can't my brain just stop? Where is the pause button? If that sounds familiar, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into a book that acts as that pause button. It's called Think Straight, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life by Darius Foroux. This isn't a book about becoming a genius or solving complex math equations. It's about something far more practical and profound, learning to use your mind as a tool instead of letting it be the other way around. It's a guide to transforming that inner chaos into a state of clarity and calm, which can radically improve your career, your relationships, and your overall quality of life. So take a deep breath, let's untangle that knot together and learn how to think straight. The entire journey of this book begins with a single, powerful image. Imagine that tangled mess of thoughts we just talked about. That's chaos. Now imagine a single, straight line moving from that mess to a clear, simple circle. That circle is your goal, your solution, your peace of mind. The book's central promise is that you can learn to replace the chaotic mush of useless thoughts, the worry, the stress, the confusion, with one straight, useful thought that serves a purpose. The author, Darius Foroux, shares a personal story that perfectly illustrates this. He had just moved to London and, through a series of unfortunate events, found himself essentially homeless for a day. His new landlady canceled on him the day before his move, and suddenly he had a car full of his belongings and nowhere to go. His mind went into a spiral. He panicked. He thought, I don't know what to do. I have no place. I'm sitting here like an idiot. He spent the rest of the day blaming himself, caught in a whirlwind of useless, overdramatic thinking over what was, in hindsight, a simple first-world problem. The next morning, he decided enough was enough. He told himself to think straight. He stopped feeling sorry for himself and started looking for a solution. And the solution, once he cleared his mind, was incredibly simple. He booked an Airbnb for a week until he could sort things out. All the stress, the worry, and the panic were completely useless. This is the essence of the book. It's about training your mind to cut through the noise and find that one straight, useful thought that leads to a solution. Before we can fix our thinking, we have to understand it. The book is deeply inspired by the American psychologist and philosopher William James, who had a breakthrough realization in 1870. He wrote in his journal that our free will is simply the ability to sustain one thought because we choose to, when we could be having other thoughts. This is critical. We can't always control the random thoughts that pop into our heads. They are just there. But we can decide which thoughts we focus on and give importance to. We can choose to influence the direction of our consciousness. This is the difference between saying, I can't help but feel this way, and I feel this way because I decided to. As Ralph Waldo Emerson put it, you become what you think about all day long. If you constantly tell yourself you're going to fail, your brain is less likely to build the neural connections necessary for success. Your thoughts literally shape your reality. But there's a problem. We aren't naturally practical thinkers. We believe we make logical decisions, but as Dan Ariely, author of Predictably Irrational, notes, this perception has more to do with how we want to see ourselves than with reality. Our minds are full of cognitive biases, or thinking errors, that lead us astray. One of the most powerful is the attentional bias, which states that our perceptions are directly affected by our thoughts. If you have negative thoughts, you will have a negative perception of life, because that's all you're paying attention to. Another is the confirmation bias, where we actively search for information that proves what we already believe, instead of looking at objective facts. The conclusion is simple but jarring. Your mind can't always be trusted. Realizing this is the first step toward making better informed decisions, not based on your gut feelings or initial assumptions, but on a more pragmatic and neutral perspective. So, how do we train ourselves to think more clearly? Foroux provides a practical toolkit of mental models and strategies. Strategy 1: filter your thoughts. True is what works. Our brains are constantly bombarded with information, so we use mental shortcuts or heuristics to make decisions. But these shortcuts are often flawed. We use social proof, doing what everyone else is doing, or familiarity, sticking to what we know even if it makes us miserable. Instead, Foroux suggests a better filter, borrowed from pragmatism. True is what works for you. He gives the example of moving to London. Conventional wisdom says big cities have bigger opportunities. And while that was true to an extent, he realized he hated the crowds, the dirty air, and the high cost of living. Living in a big city simply didn't work for him. So he moved back to a smaller town where he could work less, make more, and have a better quality of life. This is a powerful filter. When making a decision, don't ask what you should do. Ask, will the outcome of this decision change the way I live for the better? Is this useful? Does this work for me? This automatically filters out useless information and societal pressure, forcing you to focus only on what has a real, positive impact on your life. Strategy 2: stop thinking and start solving. Foroux makes a crucial distinction. There's a difference between thinking and what he calls thinking, which is really just worrying, stressing, and freaking out. 99% of our thinking is useless. It's thoughts like, what if I fail? I wonder what my boss really thinks of me. Why does my life suck? I can't seem to finish anything. What's wrong with me? These thoughts have no practical use. They don't solve problems. You can't get rid of them completely, but you can become aware of them, acknowledge them without judgment, and then decide to ignore them. The book suggests there are really only two main types of useful thoughts. 1, thinking about how you can solve problems. A problem is just an unanswered question. Use your brain to find an answer. 2, understanding knowledge. This means internalizing what you learn and thinking about how you can use it to improve your life, your career, or your relationships. Everything else, you can let it go. Strategy 3, focus only on what you control. This idea, rooted in Stoic philosophy, is a life-changing filter. It automatically eliminates almost all of your worries. Imagine 2 circles, a huge one labeled outside your control and a tiny one inside it labeled inside your control. Outside your control are things like the economy, what other people think of you, the past, the future, traffic, and the weather. Inside your control are your desires, your actions, your words, and your intentions. If you only think about things you can control, you stop wasting energy. Do you ever think about the past? Unless you're reflecting to learn a specific lesson, it's a useless thought. Do you fantasize or worry about the future? Also useless. Commit to stop thinking about useless things. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go and focus your energy where it actually matters. Strategy 4, take your time to think. In our fast-paced culture, we often believe that smart people are fast thinkers. We feel pressure to have an immediate answer for everything. Foroux argues this is a trap. He quotes Darius Foroux, who says, your first reaction is usually outdated. It's often a knee-jerk emotional response or a pre-programmed answer you use to avoid actually thinking. Thinking things through takes time. Whether it's a major life decision or a simple request from a colleague, it's okay to say, I don't know yet, or please give me a day to think about it. This is especially true for commitments in the distant future. We are much more likely to say yes to something 6 months from now, only to regret it when the time comes. By taking an extra day to think, you give yourself the space to consider your current priorities and make a decision that aligns with who you are now, not who you were when you gave your impulsive first answer. Knowing these strategies is one thing, living them is another. Here's how to integrate straight thinking into your life. On self-knowledge. Be yourself, not who you should be. Foroux argues that a lack of self-knowledge is the root cause of most bad decisions. We take jobs, into relationships, and chase goals that don't align with our strengths, values, and desires. He asks a few simple but profound questions. What are you good at? What are you bad at? What are you passionate about? What do you truly dislike? In other words, who are you? The more you know yourself, the easier it becomes to say no. You realize that most opportunities, lifestyles, and even people are not for you. The goal isn't to be everything to everyone, it's to find the very small list of things that are truly for you and build your life around them. A great way to do this is through journaling and regular reflection, which helps you uncover your mistakes and value your progress. On productivity, take thinking out of the equation. The goal of thinking better isn't to think more, it's to act better. The book proposes a simple formula: action greater than thinking. The best way to ensure you act more is to rely on systems and habits. This takes the thinking part out of the equation. Foroux uses exercise as an example. Instead of debating every day, should I go for a run or go to the gym, what time, maybe I'll go tomorrow, he created a simple system. Exercise at least 30 minutes a day. Eat healthy. That's it. There's no daily debate. The system runs on autopilot, freeing up his mental energy for more important problems. Create simple systems for the recurring parts of your life, and you'll find you have much more capacity for productive action. On money, create rules to stop worrying. Money is one of the biggest sources of useless thinking or worrying. The solution is to create a simple, practical system. Foroux lives by 5 rules. 1. Don't buy stuff you don't need. 2. Save at least 10% of your income every month. 3. Stay out of debt. 4. Invest your money in things that have a return. This includes tools for your career, like a good laptop, not just stocks. 5. Don't be stingy. It's just money. By following these rules, he stops thinking about money constantly. He knows that if he has enough saved to survive for 6 months, he'll be able to figure things out no matter what. Money is a replaceable resource. Your time and mental energy are not. On regret, never look back except to learn. The author shares a moving story about his grandmother, who spent the last years of her life full of regret for the things she didn't do. The lesson he learned was powerful. You don't regret what you did, you regret what you didn't do. This means we should live in the present. Don't get stuck in the past, endlessly looking at old photos or holding on to memorabilia. The only useful purpose for looking back is to learn. He shares an example of starting a paid membership site that failed quickly. Instead of dwelling on it, he looked back only to understand why it failed. He thought straight. At this rate, it will take too long to succeed, and the pressure is costing me time I could spend on more valuable projects. He analyzed the mistake, learned that he should only take on one big project per area of his life, and then he moved on. Make a decision, stand by it, and only look back to learn. After all these strategies and mental models, what is the end goal? It's not to have a perfect life or to never face problems. The ultimate prize is inner calm. It's the ability to remain calm no matter what you experience in life. It's the mastery of your mind that comes from daily practice. It's knowing that you don't need a yoga retreat, a vacation, or a new pair of shoes to find peace. You can find it within yourself, anytime, any place, simply by observing your thoughts and letting them go. You control your mind. You decide what it does. The book ends with a beautiful story about William James and his friend Charles Sanders Peirce. Peirce, a brilliant academic, had fallen into poverty and obscurity. Years later, when pragmatism became popular, James, who was by then a famous professor, went out of his way to credit Peirce as the founder of the philosophy, helping his old friend regain some respect. James lived by his own advice. The greatest use of a life is to spend it on something that will outlast it. And that's the final piece of the puzzle. Straight thinking isn't just for your own benefit. When you clear the chaos from your own mind, you create the space to think beyond yourself, to do things that matter to others, to help a friend, to create something useful. And when you do that, your life automatically gains a deeper sense of meaning. So, the next time you feel that mental noise creeping in, remember the image, the tangled mess, and the single straight line. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what is the one useful thought here? What is within my control? What works for me? This is not a one-time fix. It's a daily practice. But by starting today, one thought at a time, you can begin the journey from chaos to clarity and find the quiet, powerful calm that is waiting on the other side.